Could there be a lost civilization lurking as yet undetected somewhere far back in remotest prehistory?
The Amazon basin is 7 million square kilometers in area. And within it, 5.5 million square kilometers remains almost entirely unstudied by archaeologists. We've done world archaeology, but we've just ignored the Amazon.
Discoveries of ancient civilizations in the Amazon jungle have unveiled a complex and sophisticated history that challenges previous assumptions about the region. These discoveries, made through a combination of aerial surveys, satellite imagery, and ground expeditions, reveal the existence of large, well-planned urban settlements, extensive road networks, and advanced agricultural techniques, suggesting a much higher level of social organization and environmental management than previously thought. The Cuhicugu complex in the Upper Xingu region of the Brazilian Amazon offers an incredible glimpse into the advanced urban planning and societal organization of pre-Columbian civilizations, long before European contact. Nestled in the remote Amazon basin in present-day Mato Grosso, Brazil, this area is a treasure trove of biodiversity. The dense rainforests and network of rivers likely played a key role in the development and sustenance of this complex society. Covering about 50 square kilometers, the Cuhicugu complex is home to over 20 settlements. These aren't just randomly placed, they're strategically positioned to make the most of the region's natural resources. What's fascinating is how these settlements are connected. Imagine a series of straight roads, some stretching for several kilometers, laid out with such precision that they often align with the cardinal directions. This not only facilitated travel, but also shows a high level of planning and coordination. Then there's the canal system, an impressive display of hydraulic engineering, likely used for everything from transportation to water management, and maybe even fish farming. The variety of structures within the complex is equally remarkable. From large public buildings and ceremonial spaces to individual homes, the architecture reflects a hierarchy in building techniques, hinting at different social or functional roles within the society. And speaking of society, estimates suggest that at its peak, Cuhicugu could have supported a whopping 30,000 to 50,000 people. This is deduced from the sheer number of residential structures and the expanse of agricultural land.
Along the Amazon, he reported seeing incredible cities, advanced arts and crafts, millions of people, a thriving culture.
The rediscovery of the Cuhicugu complex in the Amazon is a fascinating story that blends modern technology with traditional archaeology. Initially, this hidden gem was revealed through aerial surveys and satellite images. Imagine flying over the dense Amazon rainforest and suddenly spotting the outlines of an ancient civilization. Then, archaeologists like Michael Heckenberger and his team took over, conducting extensive ground excavations. They employed advanced techniques like LiDAR, which is like X-ray vision for archaeologists, to see through the forest canopy and map the area accurately. Now let's talk about how old this place is. Using carbon dating, a method to tell the age of artifacts and soil, scientists figured out that people lived in the Cuhicugu complex for several centuries, dating back to as early as 800 AD. They found all sorts of things like pottery, stone tools, and ornaments, giving us a glimpse into the daily life and creativity of the people who lived there. Here's the kicker. Before finding Cuhicugu, many thought the Amazon was mostly an untouched wilderness before Europeans arrived. But this discovery turned that idea on its head, showing that the area was home to a large and complex society. It's like finding a hidden chapter of history in your backyard. This place shows us that humans had a big impact on the Amazon, way earlier than we thought. They even made their own super fertile soil called terra preta, which is still rich and productive today. What's really cool about Cuhicugu is how it shows that the people there knew how to live sustainably. They had advanced farming practices, managed water well, and lived in harmony with their environment. It's like they were eco-friendly before it was trendy. This discovery also made us rethink the role of indigenous societies in the Amazon. It turns out they knew a lot about how to manage the land and shape the landscape. It's a reminder of how important it is to value and learn from indigenous knowledge. And lastly, the biodiversity in the Amazon today might partly be thanks to these ancient civilizations. The variety of plants near these archaeological sites is way more than in other areas of the forest.
The Amazon is basically a garden. The Amazon is a man-made rainforest. there are certain trees like Brazil nut trees or the ice cream bean tree, which are food crops, which are very, very valuable.
Marajo Island at the Amazon River's mouth is like a time capsule that takes us back to the Marajoara culture, a sophisticated civilization from around 800 to 1400 CE. Imagine an island almost as big as Switzerland, right at the meeting point of a river and the ocean. This place, with its mix of forests, savannas, and wetlands, is not just big but also incredibly diverse. It's the perfect backdrop for the Marajoara people to thrive, providing everything from food to resources for their unique lifestyle. Now, the Marajoara culture is something special. They were known for their artistic flair, especially their ceramics. Picture pots and plates with intricate designs, complex patterns, and images of animals and people. They weren't just making these for fun. Their ceramics were a big part of their culture and beliefs, like the large, beautifully decorated urns they used for burials. These suggest they had quite complex ideas about life, death, and everything in between, but it's not just their art that's fascinating. They built these massive earthen mounds, some over 10 meters high. Think about that. That's like stacking 3 buses on top of each other. These mounds were probably used for everything from homes to ceremonial sites, and might have even protected them from the frequent floods. This shows they were pretty savvy engineers and architects, adapting to their challenging environment in style. The way they organized their society was also quite something. It seems there was a clear hierarchy, with some people leading the way in managing resources and religious practices. And they had different roles for men and women, which we can figure out from the things they left behind. Now let's talk about their farming skills. They were ahead of their time, creating raised fields to keep their crops safe from flooding. Their diet was a mix of what they grew, along with fish and game from the surrounding area. And they were smart about managing water with their canals and ditches, which was pretty crucial in a place that floods a lot. Santarem, right where the Tapajos meets the Amazon River, is a fascinating place, especially when you think about its history. This spot was like the grand central station of its time, bustling with trade and culture. Picture boats coming in and out, carrying all sorts of goods and ideas from different parts of South America. The area around Santarem was rich in resources, which helped the settlement thrive. Now, the people of Santarem were known for their incredible pottery. We're talking about really intricate designs here, geometric patterns, pictures of people and animals, and even mythical beings. The level of detail in these pots and plates is just mind-blowing. And it wasn't just about looking good. These designs tell us a lot about their culture and beliefs. The way they made this pottery was pretty advanced too. They had techniques for molding, firing, and painting that were way ahead of their time. The variety of colors and the way they used glazes show they really knew their stuff when it came to chemistry and kiln construction. It's like they were the master chefs of pottery, knowing exactly how to cook up the perfect piece. Santarem was more than just a local market. It was a cultural hub. The different styles and motifs in the pottery suggest they were mixing it up with all sorts of cultures. And it wasn't just goods they were trading. They were probably swapping stories, ideas, and practices too. The town itself, from what we can tell from the ruins, was pretty well organized. They had different areas for living, working, and probably for community gatherings or ceremonies. It's like they had their own little urban planning going on. But back to the pottery, it's not just about how it was made, but what it tells us about the people of Santarem. It gives us a peek into their daily lives, what they valued, and how they connected with others. The geoglyphs in the Amazon, especially in the Brazilian states of Acre and Rondônia, are like a secret world that's been hidden under the dense forest canopy for centuries. It wasn't until the late 20th and early 21st centuries, mostly because of deforestation, that these incredible earthworks started to come to light, thanks to technology like satellite imagery and LiDAR, which is basically like having X-ray vision from space. Over 450 of these geoglyphs have been mapped. This discovery has completely changed our view of how people lived in the Amazon before Columbus. Now, these aren't just a few lines in the dirt. We're talking about huge designs that can stretch over a kilometer and cover several square kilometers. They come in all sorts of shapes: circles, squares, rectangles, and more intricate forms. Some even have patterns like radial spokes, which add to their complexity. The sheer size of these geoglyphs hints at a society that was really well organized and could bring together a lot of people to create these massive works. But how did they make them? Well, they would remove the top layer of soil and vegetation, revealing the lighter colored earth underneath. This contrast made the design stand out when viewed from above. It seems like they used a variety of tools made from materials like stone, bone, and wood. The level of precision in these geoglyphs shows they were not only skilled but also had serious planning chops. Some of these geoglyphs line up with astronomical events, like the solstices and equinoxes. This suggests they might have been used for tracking celestial events or for ceremonial or religious purposes. Imagine large groups of people gathering at these geoglyphs for festivals or rituals. It must have been quite a sight. But here's the really cool part. These geoglyphs tell us that the societies in the Amazon before Europeans arrived were much more complex than we thought. They could modify their environment on a large scale and had a social structure where leaders could organize big projects. And despite the size of these geoglyphs, they were made in a way that respected and integrated with the surrounding landscape. So discovering these geoglyphs has really turned our understanding of the Amazon's history on its head. It's no longer seen as just a vast, untouched wilderness, but as a place where complex, organized societies lived and actively shaped their world. It's a reminder of how much history there is still to uncover and how much we can learn from it.
Everybody's heard about the Aztecs. Everybody's heard about the Maya. But before the Aztecs and before the Maya, there were a culture who are referred to as the Olmecs. I explored the Olmec mystery in considerable depth.
At the turn of the 19th to the 20th century, an era brimming with curiosity and the spirit of discovery, the ancient civilizations of Mesoamerica began to captivate scholars and adventurers alike. This period, steeped in Victorian-era fascination, saw ancient cultures not as relics of the past, but as windows into a grand, albeit lost, world.
The settlement story of the Americas is much more complicated than we've realized.
Fueled by a mix of exploration, colonization, and a penchant for romanticizing the unknown, people were drawn to the mysteries that ancient societies held. Institutions in Europe and the United States, including museums and universities, recognized the value of understanding these indigenous civilizations. They began to fund expeditions, not just for the sake of collecting artifacts, but to delve deeper into the history and culture of these ancient peoples. This marked a significant shift in archaeology, transforming it from a quest for treasures to a scientific discipline focused on careful excavation and analysis.
This is part of a curious mystery that is not unconnected to the genetic mystery.
The Olmec civilization, with its colossal heads and intricate stone structures, was one of the earliest to be uncovered. Yet in these initial stages, many artifacts were mistakenly attributed to the more familiar Maya and Aztec civilizations. This was largely due to their apparent similarities in artistic style, and because these civilizations were better understood at the time.
It's been known by archaeologists for quite a long time that there are anomalous skulls in parts of Brazil.
The unique aspects of Olmec art and iconography were not immediately recognized, highlighting the challenges faced by early archaeologists in differentiating between the complex cultures of the region. Two figures who played a pivotal role in bringing the wonders of Mesoamerica to the Western world were John Lloyd Stephens and Frederick Catherwood. Their expeditions, documented in Incidents of Travel in Central America, Chiapas and Yucatan, and Incidents of Travel in Yucatan, not only introduced the Maya civilization to many, but also set a standard for future archaeological work. Their detailed illustrations and engaging narratives captured the imagination of the public, sparking a wave of interest in ancient Mesoamerican cultures. This era also saw the beginnings of comparative archaeology, where discoveries from Mesoamerica were placed in a global context, offering new perspectives on the development of human societies. Museums evolved from mere collections of curiosities to centers of research and education, significantly contributing to the dissemination of knowledge about these ancient cultures. Furthermore, the late 19th and early 20th centuries witnessed the emergence of interdisciplinary approaches in archaeology, incorporating anthropology, linguistics, and even early environmental science, which enriched the understanding of Mesoamerican civilizations. The story of how the colossal stone heads became recognized as a key to understanding the Olmec civilization is a fascinating tale of curiosity, exploration, and eventual enlightenment within the archaeological world. Initially stumbled upon by Western archaeologists in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, these massive sculptures, some towering over 9 feet tall and weighing several tons, presented a mystery.
But what's fascinating about them is they are supposedly the first high civilization of Central America.
With their distinctive facial features, including flat noses and fleshy cheeks and often adorned with helmet-like headgear, they captivated those who found them but left many questions unanswered.
What do we think those helmets were that they were wearing?
Nobody knows, because no physical example of such a helmet has ever been found, just like no physical example of an Egyptian pharaoh's crown has ever been found.
The first significant acknowledgement of these heads came from José Melgari Serrano in 1862, when he uncovered one at Tres Zapotes in Veracruz. Melgar described the sculpture as having Ethiopian features, a reflection of the era's interpretations and biases, underscoring how little was known about the Olmecs then. Although Melgar's discovery was groundbreaking, it was initially seen as an isolated find rather than evidence of a broader, unknown civilization. For decades, these colossal heads were viewed more as curious anomalies rather than vital cultural artifacts. Without a wider archaeological context, their true significance was overlooked, and they were sometimes wrongly attributed to other known civilizations like the Maya or Aztec, or even to entirely speculative, unknown cultures. It was a puzzle missing its broader picture, waiting for the pieces to be put together. The narrative began to shift in the mid-20th century, thanks to more focused and systematic excavations in the Olmec heartland, led by archaeologists such as Matthew Stirling. These efforts unearthed additional colossal heads alongside other artifacts, helping to piece together the puzzle of the Olmec civilization. It was through this dedicated work that the Olmecs were finally recognized as a distinct and influential culture in Mesoamerica, predating and potentially influencing subsequent civilizations like the Maya and Aztecs. In 1945, a groundbreaking expedition led by Matthew Stirling to San Lorenzo Tenochtitlan dramatically advanced our understanding of the Olmec civilization, an enigmatic culture that laid the foundational stones of Mesoamerican history. Recognizing the potential significance of these sites, the Smithsonian Institution stepped in, providing the necessary support and funding for a more thorough exploration. The vastness of San Lorenzo, spreading across several kilometers, presented another hurdle. It was impossible to excavate the entire site in one go, so Stirling and his team had to make strategic decisions about where to dig, prioritizing areas where surface finds indicated the presence of significant artifacts. This meticulous approach to excavation was critical, requiring careful planning, mapping, and a methodical technique to ensure the delicate artifacts, some centuries old, were preserved for future study. As they cleared the jungle overgrowth and dug into the ancient soil, Stirling's team was not just unearthing artifacts, they were also piecing together the story of the Olmec civilization. Every artifact, every stone, and every fragment of pottery added a new chapter to our understanding of this ancient culture. The detailed recording and documentation of their findings were essential, providing a basis for future analysis and helping to paint a fuller picture of the Olmec way of life. San Lorenzo, dating back to around 1200 to 900 BCE, stands as a monumental beacon in the study of Mesoamerican history, often celebrated as the oldest major city in the region. This ancient city predates the civilizations of the Maya and Aztecs, providing a unique glimpse into the dawn of complex societies in the Americas. Thanks to radiocarbon dating, researchers have been able to pin down the timeline of San Lorenzo, offering a clearer view of the Olmec civilization's early days. Among the most striking discoveries at San Lorenzo, the site has yielded jade figurines and celts, indicating robust trade networks and the cultural significance of jade. An array of pottery styles found at the site offers insights into daily life, artistic expression, and the Olmec's trade relations. The discovery of large structures, including platforms and possible elite residences, points to a highly organized society capable of mobilizing significant labor resources. The urban layout of San Lorenzo, organized around a central axis, reflects a thoughtfully planned development. The existence of distinct ceremonial and residential areas suggests a sophisticated urban structure, possibly mirroring social hierarchies within the Olmec society. In the 1950s, the archaeological spotlight turned to La Venta, an Olmec site in Tabasco, Mexico, building on the momentum of earlier discoveries at San Lorenzo. This shift marked a significant phase in unraveling the mysteries of the Olmec civilization, regarded as one of the earliest complex societies in Mesoamerica. With a renewed interest in the Olmec culture, archaeologists like Philip Drucker and Robert Heiser applied advanced methods and interdisciplinary approaches to dig deeper into the site's secrets, offering a more comprehensive understanding of this ancient civilization. Venta thrived between approximately 900 to 400 BCE, a period that witnessed the peak of Olmec cultural and artistic development. This era underscored the Olmecs' remarkable achievements in architecture, art, and urban planning, setting a precedent for subsequent Mesoamerican cultures. Among the distinct features of Venta is the Great Pyramid, a monumental structure made of earth and clay, noted for its unique conical shape. Unlike the pyramidal structures that would later dominate Mesoamerican landscapes, the Great Pyramid's design and scale highlight the Olmec's advanced engineering skills and their capacity for organizing large-scale construction projects. This pyramid, along with other structures at the site, was aligned with celestial bodies, hinting at the Olmec's sophisticated understanding of astronomy and suggesting its role as a ceremonial and cultural hub. The systematic excavation efforts at Venta brought to light not only architectural innovations but also a wealth of artifacts, including the iconic colossal heads carved from basalt, believed to represent rulers or significant figures within Olmec society. Similarly, altars adorned with intricate carvings provided glimpses into the civilization's mythology and rituals. Venta also revealed complex burial sites and offerings, including serpentine mosaic pavements, which offered insights into the civilization's funerary practices and religious beliefs. These findings have been instrumental in piecing together the social structure, religious practices, and artistic achievements of the Olmec civilization, significantly influencing the study of Mesoamerican archaeology. However, the preservation of Venta faces challenges due to the tropical climate and human factors, underscoring the importance of ongoing research and conservation efforts. The exploration of Venta in the 1950s was a watershed moment in understanding the depth and complexity of the Olmec civilization, providing a foundation for future studies and ensuring the legacy of this pivotal culture in Mesoamerican history remains appreciated and preserved.
Very little is left of the ancient North American monuments. More than 90% of the structures that were documented in the 19th century are now completely gone. And of the less than 10% that remain, the majority have been vandalized and destroyed.
Discovering the ancient Maya civilization has been like piecing together a giant, fascinating puzzle. Picture this. Back in the 16th century, Spanish explorers led by folks like Hernán Cortés stumbled upon the remnants of a once glorious civilization, with towering cities now reclaimed by the jungle.
Oh, the tragedy of the North American pyramids. There was once more than 1 million of them. Only 100,000 are left now.
Sadly, their initial encounters weren't the most respectful. A lot of Maya history got lost or destroyed, thanks to biases and a general lack of understanding.
The horrendous catastrophe of the Spanish conquest. The Spanish sent ahead of them terrible diseases like smallpox.
Fast forward to the 19th century, and there's a renewed buzz about the Maya. This time, it's explorers and adventurers trekking through the jungles of Central America and the Yucatan Peninsula, hungry for knowledge about these ancient peoples. Two guys, John Lloyd Stephens and Frederick Catherwood, became the rock stars of Maya exploration. In the 1830s and 1840s, they journeyed to sites like Copan and Palenque, sketching and writing about their finds. Their work lit up the world's imagination with tales and visuals of the Maya's grand cities and sophisticated culture. By the 20th century, studying the Maya had become a serious scientific endeavor. Archaeologists got down and dirty in the ruins, conducting careful digs and uncovering secrets that the Maya left behind. big projects at places like Copan and Chichen Itza peeled back layers of mystery, revealing intricate details about how the Maya lived, worshipped, and governed themselves.
If you have a relatively short time frame to deal with, then searching for a lost civilization becomes much more complex and much more difficult.
Discoveries at Tikal and Palenque gave us peeks into royal life, with their elaborate tombs and stunning artwork, not to mention proof of the Maya's knack for architecture and stargazing. The lost city of El Mirador, hidden for centuries beneath the dense canopy of northern Guatemala's jungle, stands as a monumental witness to the ancient Maya civilization's grandeur and ingenuity. Rediscovered in the late 20th century, this city has profoundly reshaped our understanding of the Maya, pushing back the timeline of their architectural and societal achievements to much earlier than previously recognized. Flourishing from the 6th century BCE, El Mirador was a preeminent city in the Maya world during the pre-classic period, centuries before the rise of the more commonly known classical Maya cities such as Tikal and Palenque. Its scale and complexity are astonishing, with sprawling urban centers, elaborate plazas, and sophisticated water management systems, including reservoirs and canals, that supported a densely populated area at its zenith. The centerpiece of El Mirador is the colossal La Danta pyramid. Towering above the forest, La Danta is not just the largest pyramid in the Maya world, but also one of the most massive ancient structures in the world by volume. The pyramid's base covers an area larger than 9 football fields, and it rises to a height of approximately 230 feet. Constructing La Danta would have required moving millions of cubic meters of earth and stone. A staggering feat given the absence of metal tools, the wheel, or domesticated beasts of burden. This monumental effort underscores the advanced engineering skills and social organization of the Maya, capable of mobilizing and sustaining such a large workforce. El Mirador's discovery also brought to light an extensive network of raised causeways, known as Sakbiob, connecting it with other cities and settlements across the region. These causeways facilitated trade, movement, and possibly acted as political and ceremonial pathways, illustrating the city's importance as a regional hub. One of the most intriguing theories about El Mirador, and the pre-classic Maya in general, concerns the reasons for the city's decline and eventual abandonment around the end of the first millennium BCE. Researchers speculate that extensive deforestation and the demands of large-scale agriculture may have led to environmental degradation, reducing the city's ability to support its population. This theory suggests a cautionary tale about the sustainability of human-environment interactions, echoing modern concerns about environmental management and conservation. Comparatively, El Mirador and its monumental architecture can be paralleled with ancient Egypt's Old Kingdom, which was contemporaneously constructing its own colossal structures, including the pyramids of Giza. Both civilizations achieved remarkable architectural feats without the advantages of modern technology, relying instead on a profound understanding of engineering, astronomy, and mathematics. However, whereas Egypt's pyramids served primarily as tombs for pharaohs, Maya pyramids like La Danta were multifunctional, serving as temples and possibly observatories, reflecting the Maya's integrated approach to religion, governance, and science. The decipherment of the Maya script stands as one of the most enthralling detective stories in the history of archaeology and linguistics. For centuries, the intricate hieroglyphs carved into stone monuments, painted on pottery, and written in the few surviving bark paper books remained a locked treasure trove of the ancient Maya civilization's wisdom. The breakthrough in the 20th century, primarily attributed to the insights of Russian linguist Yuri Knorozov, transformed our understanding of the Maya, unveiling a civilization rich in history, culture, and scientific knowledge. The Maya script is a complex system of glyphs which had stumped scholars for years. Early attempts at decipherment were hampered by the assumption that the script was purely ideographic, representing ideas rather than sounds, much like the Egyptian hieroglyphs before their decipherment. This led to numerous speculative and often incorrect interpretations of Maya texts. The turning point came in the 1950s with Yuri Knorozov. He proposed that the glyphs were not only logographic, but also phonetic, representing sounds. Knorozov's insight was based on the use of the Landa alphabet, a set of glyphs recorded by Spanish Bishop Diego de Landa, which had been dismissed by many as inaccurate. Knorozov suggested that these glyphs could represent phonetic sounds as well as logographic symbols. This approach opened the door to reading the Maya script as a fully functional writing system that included phonetic elements. Knorozov's work sparked a new wave of interest and research, leading to a collaborative international effort to crack the Maya code. Scholars such as David Kelly, Tatiana Proskuryakov, and later Linda Scheller and David Stewart, among others, made significant contributions. Proskuryakov, in particular, was instrumental in demonstrating that many inscriptions were historical records of Maya rulers and their deeds, rather than purely mythological texts as previously thought. This shifted the direction of Maya epigraphy towards historical reconstruction. One fascinating theory that has emerged from the study of Maya texts is the advanced nature of Maya astronomy and mathematics. The decipherment of the Dresden Codex, one of the surviving Maya books, revealed complex tables for predicting lunar and solar eclipses, the movements of the planet Venus, and the cycles of the Maya calendar. At the heart of their astronomical studies was the observatory at Chichen Itza, known as the Caracol. This structure, with its distinctive round dome and strategically placed openings, served as a window to the heavens, allowing Maya astronomers to accurately track the movements of Venus, the Sun, and other significant celestial entities. The precise alignment of the Caracol's windows with these celestial bodies' appearances and disappearances throughout the year underscores the Mayas' advanced architectural skills and their capacity to harmonize their construction efforts with their extensive knowledge of astronomy. This integration of astronomy into various aspects of Maya life highlights a civilization that valued the stars not merely as subjects of curiosity, but as essential guides for earthly endeavors. The Mayas' legacy in astronomy, evidenced by their codices, observatories, and calendars, offers a glimpse into a society that found harmony in the cosmic order and sought to align its terrestrial activities with the celestial rhythm. It's a tale not too dissimilar to the story of the Rosetta Stone and the Egyptian hieroglyphs, but with a twist. You see, the Rosetta Stone was like getting the cheat codes to understand Egyptian hieroglyphs because it had translations right there. But with the Maya, there wasn't a neat bilingual text lying around. Instead, figuring out what those intricate carvings and paintings meant required a mix of smart guessing, deep cultural dives, and a bit of detective work in understanding the symbols not just as pictures, but as a complex blend of sounds and meanings. Now imagine trying to understand a writing system that's not only about what things are, but also how they sound. And that's what the Maya script is all about. It's this incredible collection of over 800 different glyphs, making it one of the showiest, most elaborate scripts you could lay your eyes on. And the coolest part, we're still unlocking the secrets of this ancient script. The Maya script's ongoing decipherment is a reminder that history isn't just about looking back. It's a story that keeps evolving as we learn more.
But what's fascinating about them is they are supposedly the first high civilization of Central America, that they create structures on a massive scale, that you can see connections between them and the later Maya.
For the Maya, the Milky Way was a particularly important feature of the heavens. They conceived of it as the road that led to their netherworld, Xibalba.
In the verdant lands of Central America, the ancient Maya civilization flourished with a mysterious brilliance that continues to captivate the world. Among the many enigmas they left behind, their profound understanding of astronomy stands as a testament to their intellectual prowess. Graham Hancock, a modern explorer of ancient mysteries, delves deep into this aspect of the Maya, proposing intriguing theories that stretch the bounds of conventional history.
That whole mystery of the Mayan calendar was clearly inherited from the Olmecs. It wasn't something the Maya made up. The Olmecs used that same symbolism. So the Mayan calendar is actually an Olmec calendar.
Maya long count calendar, a marvel of ancient engineering, intricately tracked a 5,125-year cycle with astonishing precision. This calendar wasn't just a tool for marking time. It was a complex understanding of celestial cycles, intertwining the Mayas' daily lives with the cosmos. Hancock suggests that this precision hints at a deeper, possibly inherited, knowledge of astronomy. Was this sophisticated understanding a legacy from a much older, now lost civilization? When one looks at the grandeur of Maya structures such as the pyramid at Chichen Itza, the brilliance of their astronomical alignment is striking. During the equinoxes, the play of light and shadow on this pyramid creates the illusion of a serpent slithering down its steps. To Hancock, these architectural marvels are not just buildings, but celestial maps, echoing an advanced understanding of the cosmos.
Orion was extensively involved in Mayan rebirth beliefs, which describe the constellation and specifically its three belt stars as the turtle of rebirth. In Egypt, as amongst the Maya, the stellar context involves Orion and the Milky Way.
The Mayas' awareness of the ecliptic, the path followed by the sun, moon, and planets across the sky, further fuels Hancock's theories. Their ability to predict solar and lunar eclipses and track the movements of Venus, which they revered as the god Kukulkan, showcases their deep astronomical knowledge. Did they learn this from an older civilization? Hancock wonders. A civilization lost in the depths of time. Hancock theorizes that the Maya might have been part of a vast network of ancient civilizations, sharing knowledge across seas and continents. This global maritime culture, as he envisages, could have been a conduit for transferring advanced astronomical and architectural knowledge to the Maya. The architectural designs of the Maya, seen in their pyramids, temples, and cities, reflect a level of technological and engineering skill that seems almost ahead of their time. Were these skills handed down from a previous, more advanced civilization? The mathematical systems of the Maya, including their use of zero, a concept rare in the ancient world, were integral to their astronomical calculations. Hancock proposes that this mathematical sophistication, too, might be a legacy from a forgotten civilization.
We're not what it's all about at all. That there may have been an earlier civilization that reached a high level of advancement, perhaps different from ours, but nevertheless an advanced civilization, which was just taken out of the story completely by a global cataclysm.
In a tale woven from the threads of ancient mysteries, Graham Hancock, a modern-day seeker of lost truths, presents a fascinating theory. He imagines a world where an advanced civilization, predating the ancient cultures known to history, once thrived. This civilization, possibly flourishing before the last ice age ended around 10,000 BCE, was a beacon of knowledge in fields like astronomy, architecture, and mathematics. Hancock's story tells of a society whose influence stretched far beyond its own time and space, touching various corners of the ancient world, including the enigmatic Maya civilization.
I think, and it's my case, that it wiped our memory of a previous episode of human civilization, that right at the epicenter of this cataclysm was a civilization that we would regard as advanced, not a simple hunter-gatherer civilization, which was utterly wiped out in this cataclysmic event.
However, this ancient global society in Hancock's story faced a dramatic and catastrophic end. He hypothesizes that a cataclysmic event, such as a comet impact or a massive flood, nearly obliterated this civilization. But not all was lost. The survivors, carrying the torch of their advanced knowledge, ventured out into the world. These bearers of ancient wisdom found their way to other, less advanced societies and shared their knowledge, planting the seeds for new civilizations to grow. Among these were the Maya, who, in Hancock's view, may have been one of the many inheritors of this ancient legacy. Hancock points to the Mayas' remarkable architectural and astronomical achievements as evidence of this influence. The precision of their calendar systems, their understanding of celestial cycles, and the alignment of their buildings with astronomical events are, in his narrative, not just the fruits of their own ingenuity, but possibly a heritage from a civilization lost in the mists of time. He draws parallels between the architectural styles, religious beliefs, and astronomical knowledge found across various ancient cultures, suggesting these similarities might be remnants of a shared source of ancient wisdom.
Because we now know that at that time, between 12,800 and 11,600 years ago, truly global cataclysmic events involving rapid rises in sea level did occur, and suddenly the worldwide tradition of a global flood stops being just a myth and starts being a memory.
In a narrative that intertwines the mysteries of ancient seas with the Maya calendar, Graham Hancock, a storyteller of history's hidden chapters, brings to life his theories of a bygone era. He paints a picture of an ancient world, not fragmented by vast oceans, but connected through them. This world, according to Hancock, was home to a sophisticated global maritime culture. This culture, adept in the art of navigation and shipbuilding, embarked on extensive sea voyages, knitting together the far-flung civilizations of the ancient world. Hancock's tale is not just about the movement of ships, but also about the flow of ideas, technologies, and beliefs. He sees the similarities in architectural styles and construction techniques across different ancient cultures as whispers of a shared knowledge, possibly disseminated through this maritime network. In this story, ancient seafarers are the unsung heroes, ferrying not just goods but also the seeds of culture and religion across the world's watery expanse. He draws parallels with the Polynesian navigators, known for their remarkable oceanic voyages, suggesting that similar capabilities could have existed among these ancient maritime cultures.
They're telling us that this lost civilization was submerged in a great flood around 11,600 years before our time. This is why I think we need to pay attention to the Atlantis story rather than just write it off as the ravings of the lunatic fringe.
But Hancock's narrative takes an intriguing turn as he touches upon the mysterious Maya civilization and their long count calendar. This calendar, a sophisticated timekeeping system, tracks a cycle of approximately 5,125 years, culminating in a date that modern calendars align with December 21st, 2012. Hancock, weaving a tale from the threads of time, views this not as an apocalyptic end, but as a significant moment in Maya cosmology, a marker of major transition or transformation. In this story, the 2012 phenomenon is not a tale of doom, but a moment of cosmological significance, possibly indicating a shift in human consciousness or the dawn of a new era in human history. Hancock uses this moment to discuss the broader concept of historical cycles, how ancient civilizations understood and measured time, and their alignment with astronomical events such as the precession of the equinoxes and the galaxy's alignment. Graham Hancock, a modern-day chronicler of lost civilizations, presents a captivating theory. He tells a story of Earth's history punctuated by cataclysmic events, asteroid impacts, massive floods, and volcanic eruptions that have periodically reshaped the course of human civilization. In this tale, these cataclysms are not just natural disasters, but pivotal moments that lead to the rise and fall of civilizations, causing a reset of human progress.
It's interesting that the patterns are geometrical. Someone made it, and it involved a very large amount of organized labor in order to make it. There had to be the will and the intent in order to do that.
Nestled on the outskirts of Cusco, the once thriving capital of the Inca Empire, lies the enigmatic site of Saksaywaman. This marvel of ancient engineering has captured the imagination of historians and archaeologists alike, thanks to its remarkable architectural features.
I would prefer to propose, and I have proposed, that what we're looking at is evidence of some kind of transfer of technology, that people came into that area who had other knowledge.
The site, believed to have been a royal estate or a sacred space for Inca leaders, is most famous for its colossal stone walls, forming three-tiered terraces that zigzag across the landscape like the teeth of some giant beast. The sheer size of the stones used, some tipping the scales at a staggering 200 tons, and the precision with which they're fitted together is nothing short of awe-inspiring.
This is a very neglected area of the world, as far as deep and ancient archaeology goes.
The joints between these massive boulders are so meticulously crafted that they leave no space for even a sliver of paper to pass through. showcasing an advanced knowledge of stonemasonry, and perhaps an understanding of seismic activities, as these structures have withstood numerous earthquakes over the centuries. While mainstream archaeology attributes these feats to the Incas' sophisticated engineering skills, using simple but effective tools and techniques, Graham Hancock invites us to ponder a more mysterious origin.
A curious mystery that is not unconnected to the genetic mystery.
He speculates that the Inca might have been heirs to a legacy of knowledge and technology from a bygone civilization, now lost to history. This theory suggests that the astonishing precision and durability of Saksaywaman's walls could be evidence of an advanced pre-Inca society that had mastered construction techniques far beyond what was previously imagined for their time. Hancock's fascination doesn't stop at the construction techniques. He delves into the site's possible acoustic properties and astronomical alignments, suggesting that Saksaywaman was not just an architectural marvel, but also a center for astronomical observation and sound engineering. These features hint at a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos and sound, further fueling the speculation that the site's creators were far more advanced than we give them credit for. The mystery of Saksaywaman is deepened by the Incas' lack of a written language, which has led to a significant loss of their oral history following the Spanish conquest. This absence of concrete historical records leaves a gap in our understanding of the site's true purpose and the extent of the Incas' architectural knowledge. Despite these challenges, Saksaywaman's cultural and historical significance cannot be overstated. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it attracts thousands of tourists each year, serving as a vital link to the past and a testament to the Inca civilization's ingenuity. Now, the story of the Inca Empire, or Tawantinsuyu. This narrative takes us back to the early 13th century, around the region of Cusco in what's now Peru. It's here that the saga begins with Manco Capac, the mythical founder and first emperor believed to be chosen by the sun god Inti himself. From such divine origins, the Inca embarked on an ambitious journey of expansion, blending military might and diplomatic savvy to weave together a tapestry of conquered territories and assimilated cultures. At its zenith, this empire spanned modern-day Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, Argentina, Chile, and Colombia, creating the largest empire in pre-Columbian America. But what truly sets the Inca apart are their engineering marvels. Imagine a network of roads over 40,000 kilometers long, connecting the arid coastlines of Peru to the snow-capped Andes, a testament to the Inca's engineering genius. This wasn't just any road system, it was the Capac Ñan, or the Royal Road, a feat of ancient infrastructure that included everything from stone-paved paths to suspension bridges made of woven grass. These pathways were vital arteries of the empire, supported by tambos and storehouses that provided essential supplies to travelers and military expeditions alike. Yet, the Incas' ingenuity didn't stop at roadways. They transformed the steep Andean mountainsides with agricultural terraces, preventing erosion and expanding arable land, all while developing sophisticated irrigation systems to water these terraced fields. Their expertise in water management extended to canals and aqueducts that channeled water from mountain springs to dry areas, ensuring the survival of dense populations. The heart of this empire was Cusco, a city that was not only the political center but also an urban planning marvel. Cusco was divided into sectors that mirrored the four parts of the empire, each sector meticulously planned and organized. And then there's Machu Picchu, the crown jewel of Inca architecture, perched high in the mountains and blending seamlessly with the landscape. This iconic site, with its terraces, temples, and palaces, showcases the Incas' unparalleled skill in stonework, stones so precisely cut and fitted that they've withstood centuries of earthquakes. Now moving back to Graham Hancock, a name synonymous with challenging the traditional narratives of history and archaeology, has long fascinated us with his theories on the ancient world.
Are we looking at the traces of a forgotten episode in human history? I think so. I think that's what's going on here.
He suggests that civilizations like the Inca were not only more technologically advanced, but also more interconnected than we've been led to believe. Let's take a closer look at some of the intriguing ideas Hancock puts forward. First off, consider the Incas' ingenious system of communication. They had these runners known as chasqui, who could sprint across the empire's vast network of roads and trails, passing messages with incredible efficiency. But it wasn't just about legwork. The Inca also used quipus, complex knot patterns on strings, that may have been more than mere accounting tools. Hancock muses that these could have carried detailed messages, perhaps even stories across vast distances. He even floats the idea that there might have been even more sophisticated yet undiscovered methods of communication, hinting at a possible global network of ancient knowledge sharing. Then there's the matter of construction techniques. The precision seen in the stonework of sites like Saksaywaman is staggering. Without mortar, these stones have been cut and fitted together so perfectly that they've withstood earthquakes for centuries. Hancock suggests this might point to lost technologies, far more advanced than what's been historically acknowledged.
Perhaps a decision was made not to use metal. Perhaps a decision was made that errors had taken place, that in reinventing civilization we shouldn't perhaps go down quite the same route as before.
And it's not just about stones and construction. He speculates the Inca had ways to harness natural energies, like geothermal or solar energy, in ways we're yet to fully understand. Hancock doesn't stop there. He observes how the Incas' agricultural practices, from terracing to sophisticated irrigation, showcase a sustainable way of living with the environment, possibly part of a broader, now-lost knowledge of ancient civilizations. This idea of sustainability, coupled with their architectural and engineering feats, paints a picture of a society that was not only advanced but deeply in tune with the natural world. Moreover, Hancock draws parallels between the architectural styles, religious beliefs, and cultural practices across different ancient civilizations. The similarities in megalithic constructions across South America, Egypt, and Asia, the use of psychoactive plants in spiritual rituals, and even practices like cranial deformation and mummification suggest a web of cultural exchange or influence that spans the globe. Graham Hancock, a name often associated with thinking outside of the box. Among his many interests, the Inca Empire stands out for its sophisticated communication networks and astronomical know-how, areas where Hancock's ideas veer sharply from the mainstream narrative. Hancock looks at the Incas' architectural marvels, like the precision-engineered Temple of the Sun at Machu Picchu, and sees a civilization deeply in tune with the cosmos. These buildings weren't just about looking pretty. They aligned with celestial events like the solstices and equinoxes, serving both practical agricultural needs and the ceremonial calendar. It's this star-aligned architecture that leads Hancock to ponder if the Incas' cosmic knowledge was inherited from an even older global civilization, suggesting a world where ancient peoples shared a sophisticated understanding of astronomy long before it was thought possible. Hancock's theories, while met with skepticism from the academic establishment, undeniably add zest to the ongoing dialogue about our ancestors. By proposing that the Inca were part of a technologically advanced and interconnected ancient world, he challenges us to rethink what we thought we knew about the past. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, Hancock's insights into the Inca Empire invite us all to explore the mysteries of ancient civilizations with fresh eyes, reminding us that history is anything but written in stone.
One thing that they used to say is Hancock can't be right because there was no global cataclysm, 12 or 13,000 years ago. Well, now we know there was, and there are various explanations for it. Right at the epicenter of this cataclysm was a civilization that we would regard as advanced, not a simple hunter-gatherer civilization, which was utterly wiped out in this cataclysmic event.
Graham Hancock's interpretation of the Peri Reis map, created in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Peri Reis, presents a fascinating narrative about the knowledge of ancient civilizations. The map, discovered in 1929 in the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, Turkey, has only about one-third of its original content preserved. Despite this, the map's detail and coverage, including parts of Europe, North Africa, and the Brazilian coast, are noteworthy. The scale of the map is inconsistent, a common feature in early cartography, and it includes various annotations and illustrations.
This is a very neglected area of the world as far as deep and ancient archaeology goes. If you're going to propose a lost civilization, there are certain preconditions.
Peri Reis himself indicated that the map was compiled using various earlier sources, including charts from Christopher Columbus and possibly older maps, which might have included Western and Eastern, including Arabic, navigational charts. Hancock's interpretation of the map primarily focuses on its depiction of the Antarctic coastline. He claims that the map shows the northern coastline of Antarctica in a largely ice-free state, which, according to him, last occurred more than 6,000 years ago. This assertion, if true, would imply a significant historical anomaly, suggesting that ancient seafarers might have charted Antarctica long before it was officially discovered. However, this interpretation is contentious. Critics argue that the so-called Antarctic coast could be a misrepresentation or misinterpretation of the South American coast, or even an imaginative addition, not uncommon in early cartography.
In 1513, when Peri Reis drew the map, Antarctica had not been discovered. In fact, it wasn't discovered until 1818 by our civilization. It incorporates highly accurate relative longitudes. To do longitudes accurately on maps requires a chronometer, a marine chronometer that will keep accurate time at sea. And again, this was something that our civilization couldn't do until the late 18th century.
Another intriguing aspect of the Peri Reis map, according to Hancock, is its accuracy in longitude in certain sections. He posits that this level of accuracy indicates a more advanced knowledge of navigation and geography than what was available at the time. However, this claim is debated by scholars who argue that the accuracies could be coincidental or exaggerated, since accurate methods for measuring longitude were not developed until the 18th century. Hancock also suggests that the map depicts mountain ranges in Antarctica, which were unknown and under ice until recent times. This, he believes, further points to ancient knowledge of geography. Critics, however, counter that these features could be inaccuracies, such as misdrawn coastlines or symbolic illustrations, rather than representations of actual geographical features. Graham Hancock's hypothesis about advanced ancient knowledge, particularly as seen through the lens of ancient maps like the Peri Reis map, certainly stirs up a conversation about our understanding of historical and archaeological knowledge. Hancock points out that these maps display a level of geographical detail that seems remarkably accurate, especially when you consider the time they were created. For example, the Peri Reis map, which includes detailed coastlines and island locations, seems to suggest a level of knowledge that surpasses what was known or should have been possible at the time. It's quite intriguing, really. One of the more captivating aspects of Hancock's theory is the suggestion that some of these maps show features that were not officially recognized until much later.
Well, this map was drawn in 1813. It's the Pinkerton World Map, and it's based on the latest science available in 1813. So Antarctica isn't there. Why isn't Antarctica there? Because it's an honest map. They hadn't discovered it in 1813. So it's very odd, in my view, that Antarctica appears on much older source maps, which themselves are based on even older source maps.
Take, for instance, his interpretation of the Antarctic coast as depicted on the Peri Reis map, a region not known in the 16th century. This leads Hancock to speculate that these maps could have been based on even older sources, possibly from a forgotten civilization that had extensively charted the globe. It's as if he's hinting at a lost chapter in human history, one that recorded the Earth with surprising accuracy and detail. When we dive into the technological implications of his theory, things get even more interesting. Hancock suggests that the creators of these original source maps must have had advanced navigational skills, including the accurate measurement of longitude. A significant challenge that wasn't resolved until much later with the invention of marine chronometers in the 18th century. The precision in these maps, particularly in terms of latitudinal and longitudinal readings, implies a level of cartographic sophistication that seems out of place in the historical timeline as we understand it. It's as if these map makers had tools and knowledge that history says they shouldn't have had. Graham Hancock's ideas about the loss and transmission of ancient knowledge are quite captivating, weaving together a narrative that stretches across time and civilizations. He proposes that a wealth of geographical knowledge, once possessed by an advanced ancient civilization, was largely lost due to cataclysmic events or perhaps the gradual decline of this civilization.
It's a navigational device. It's a geared, cogged system that allows you to track the passage of time and figure out where you are. Again, that testifies to a lost navigational skill that we have not taken account of before.
It's a thought-provoking idea, suggesting that what we know of our past might just be the tip of the iceberg. Hancock believes that some remnants of this knowledge managed to survive and eventually influence the cartographic work of later civilizations, including those in the medieval and Renaissance periods. Hancock delves into how this information could have been passed down. He suggests a variety of channels, including oral traditions, mythological texts, and even surviving cartographic materials, which later mapmakers like Peri Reis might have used. Imagine, for a moment, ancient mariners passing down stories of distant lands and seas, with these tales eventually finding their way into the maps and charts of later generations. One of the more intriguing aspects of Hancock's hypothesis is his connection with myths and legends from different cultures around the world. He often draws parallels between these stories and the idea of advanced prehistoric knowledge and global cataclysms, such as the Great Flood narratives found in many cultures. In Hancock's view, these myths and legends aren't just fanciful stories, they're potential historical records, allegorical but based on real events and knowledge from these lost civilizations. It's a narrative that challenges us to think beyond conventional historical accounts, suggesting that our ancestors might have known far more about the world than we give them credit for.
You see, the one thing there's no dispute about anymore is that the Younger Dryas was a cataclysm. The megafauna that die off, the disruption of human activity that takes place at that time, the huge climate changes, this was a cataclysm by any standards. Where the argument still goes on is what caused the cataclysm.
Graham Hancock has this really interesting, if somewhat controversial, hypothesis about a global cataclysm that he believes occurred around 10,600 BCE. He suggests that Earth was hit by a comet or a series of comet impacts at this time, leading to massive environmental and climatic upheavals worldwide. This idea is particularly interesting because he links it to the Younger Dryas period, a well-documented era of abrupt climate change that started around 12,900 years ago and lasted for about 1,300 years. The Younger Dryas is known for a sudden shift back to colder and drier conditions following a period of warming after the last ice age. Hancock posits that this comet impact could have been the trigger for this dramatic climatic shift. What's intriguing is how Hancock uses ice core samples from Greenland and Antarctica to support his theory. These ice cores, which provide a detailed record of past temperatures and atmospheric compositions, show evidence of a rapid climatic change during the Younger Dryas. He sees this as a smoking gun, indicating a major impact event. He also points to geological evidence like sediment layers that show signs of sudden environmental changes, further supporting his comet impact theory.
We see all the megafauna dying off suddenly and rapidly. We see rises in sea level. We see a huge collapse in global temperature. What is becoming clearer and clearer is that the evidence that a comet was behind it is extremely strong.
But Hancock doesn't stop there. He goes on to suggest that this hypothesized comet impact had profound effects on both flora and fauna, including contributing to the extinction of many large mammal species during what's known as the Pleistocene megafauna extinction. The changes in vegetation and ecosystems, he argues, would have had cascading effects on wildlife and human populations alike. For human societies, Hancock believes this event was catastrophic, causing significant disruptions and leading to the loss of advanced knowledge and cultural practices of prehistoric civilizations. It's like he's suggesting a kind of cultural amnesia, where societies forgot the advancements they had made. And then there's this fascinating idea that survivors of this cataclysm might have passed on fragments of their advanced knowledge to other cultures, influencing the development of future civilizations. It's a narrative that makes you wonder about the connections between ancient civilizations and how knowledge could have been transferred across generations and geographies in ways we might not fully understand.